Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Amber Anderson. I serve as the Executive Director and founder of the Black and Gold. Hello, everyone. Good evening. On behalf of myself and the executive board, we would like to thank all of our Golden Girls for participating in our first ever Golden Girl Week. I would also like to thank all the panelists for coming out tonight and just being a part of this panel and sharing their knowledge about their success to becoming a successful entrepreneur. Let's jump right into tonight's conversation. I'm going to start off by introducing all of our wonderful panelists for tonight.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So first, I'm going to start off by introducing Miss Kim Lewis. Some may call her a risk taker. Others still may label her a gambler, but only one title suits Kimberly Lewis, entrepreneur. Kim Lewis is the CEO and co-founder of Curl Mix, a clean beauty brand for curly hair. After a strong showing on season 10 of ABC's Emmy Award-winning Shark Tank, with her husband and co-founder Tim, Kim made the daring decision to bet on herself and turn down a $400,000 Shark deal. Less than 6 months later, Kim's talent for logistics and marketing secured a seed investment of $1.2 million, multiplied Curl Mix sales into the millions, and grew the Curl Mix team to 30 plus full-time staff, all while raising 2 small children. Kim was recently featured on Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and today, Curl Mix continues to flourish under Kim's entrepreneurial process. Her company operates a manufacturing facility in the heart of her native city, Chicago, where Kim employs a full-time staff of minorities, working moms, and women.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today.
We're happy to have you. Next, I'm going to introduce Miss Sierra Jabri. She who wears many hats, literally and figuratively, Sierra Jabri is a lifestyle publicist, experience curator, mom influencer, and founder of Bubble Sparkling Wine. She is most known for her expertise in launching and repositioning brands with multi-facet strategies, incorporating public relations, influencer marketing, and event planning, and more. I have a special place in my heart for mimosas and how they have allowed me to build community surrounding my career. Prior to launching Bubble, I created a networking social called House of Mimosa that highlights the upcoming, unknown, and established creatives in conversation. It was a huge success amongst the millennial female community in Chicago looking to network. Over the years, Sierra Jabri has curated a series of successful and popular events under the umbrella where a curated menu of mimosas was served at each event. House called times Mimosa, as COVID defined a new normal, I took a business pivot and decided it would be great to have my own bubbly that could continue to build community outside of live events. Next, I'm going to introduce Miss Jamila Tremule. From the South Side of Chicago, Jamila Tremule is the founder of Ladies of Virtue, an award-winning mentoring and leadership program that has empowered over 1,000 girls aged 9 to 18 to become confident and purpose-driven leaders. Jamila started her career in strategic planning at Northwestern Medicine and has over 10 years of experience in strategic planning and community engagement. Jamil is a steering committee member for the Greater Bronzeville Neighborhood Workforce Development Committee. Jamil is the co-author of a status report on teen girls in Chicago, produced by the Coalition on Urban Girls. Jamil is also the co-chair for the Status of Women and Girls Working Group, led by Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia. Most recently, Jamil gave her TEDx talk at Rush University entitled, "Make Today Your Saturday, Life of Fulfilled, Life of Purpose." Jamil has a Bachelor of Science in Community Health from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and a Master of Science in Health Systems Management from Rush University. She also holds a Master of Education in Educational Leadership from the Broad Center Management for Management of School Systems. Jamil is also a graduate of Chicago Urban League's Impact Leadership Development Program. She lives in the South Loop community with her husband, Damon. And last but not least, I would like to introduce Miss BB Jones, style maven, fashion writer, brand consultant, you name it. BB Jones has dedicated nearly 15 years of her life to fashion and journalism industry, working with notable brands such as Nikon, Samsung, Nike, Palms, Champ Sports, Condé Nast, H&M, Alex and Annie, UGG, UCG Worldwide, and many more. As a Jackson State University alumna, shout out to HBCUs, BB utilized her Bachelor of Science degree in journalism plus major of arts degree in merchandise management, International Academy of Design and Technology, with her passion for fashion, and was able to write for print and online publications like Ebony Magazine, Indigo Mag Paper, thefashionspot.com, Sister to Sister Magazine, and SavoyMag.com. In 2013, BB decided to take a leap of faith and she created her own way as an entrepreneur. Her passion stemmed from the lack of coverage and opportunities for creators of color throughout the Midwest. She set out to provide a platform for emerging and established designers, stylists, models, boutique owners, sneaker and brand influencers, and beauty connoisseurs. Thus, she created Row A Seat 1, a fashion conglomerate comprised of blogging, styling, brand development, fashion production, and philanthropy. Today, BB has been named as one of Chicago's most sought-out fashion stylists, bloggers, and influential natives, where she's been able to showcase her work across print, television, and social media. She developed a hands-on styling workshop, Everybody Wanna Be a Stylist, for aspiring fashion stylists. As an entrepreneur, BB has been featured on, but not limited to, In Style Magazine, The Zoe Report, Rolling Out Magazine, Made Magazine, the Chicago Defender Bronzeville Life Magazine, ABC7 Windy City Live, WCIU The Jam, and WVON 1690 AM Live, and the Talk of Chicago iHeartRadio.
Wow. That's credentials.
Yes, as you all can see, we have a lot of bosses who are part of this panel just based on their bios I just read. I am really excited to have you all here tonight to just have a discussion about your journey to entrepreneurship. And I know I just read your bios, but before we jump into the panel questions, I just want to give each panelist the opportunity to just give us a little blurb about your business and just tell us about what you do specifically in that role. It's open for anyone to start off first.
Sure, no problem. I'll jump right in. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Chromix. As you mentioned, we're clean brand for here. We manufacture our products here on the west side of Chicago. So I'm born and raised in Chicago. I went to Morgan Park High School. Ooh, you should have been a Mustang. If you went to MP, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you went to like Julian or CVS, you might know what I'm talking about too. And we basically manufacture our products on the west side. Our staff is half on site, half remote. The people who are on site, deal with making the product, and people who are remote deal more so with marketing, finance, and customer service. And we've been in business since 2015. First couple of years, we weren't very successful, and we pivoted in 2018, and then we went from 140,000 annually to $1 million, and then to 5.5 million, and so on. And so we're also direct to consumer. So we are found at chromix.com. We are not in Target or any of those retail locations, but by design. So that was intentional. People have reached out to us, but we want to kind of keep that relationship with the customer and go direct to consumer. So that's just a little bit about me. Oh, and I mentioned my husband, he's my co-founder. So Kim and Tim, we rock together. Our Instagram is Kim and Tim Lewis. And we've been together since we were at Morgan Park also, since we were 16. So a little bit about my story. I'm going to shut up now so someone else can talk.
I guess I'll go. Well, I'm Sierra Debris. So this is actually my third year with you guys, Amber. So thank you again for inviting me to speak. So the crazy thing is, when I first started with Black is Gold, I didn't have any children, and I was on the panel looking at everyone like, oh my God, they're mothers. Then the second year, I think I was pregnant or I just had the baby. And then now I've been a mother for a full year. So I have a lot of changes. But I am a lifestyle publicist and a mom influencer, which is a new thing for me. And then during COVID, I pivoted my business with having Buble sparkling. So it's a sparkling wine brand. I started off doing events, networking events and things like that with House of Mimosa. And so, of course, what's the main ingredient inside of a mimosa? sparkling wine. So because I can't do live events at this time, I wanted to kind of stay and building community with everyone. And within that, I created the sparkling wine brand. And so that's kind of like where I am today.
Awesome. I can go next. I need to try some of your mimosas, okay?
Yes, girl. Yes.
But hello, everyone. Again, my name is Jamila Tremio, founder and CEO of Ladies of Virtue. I'm actually from the South Side of Chicago as well, from South Shore community. So Ladies of Virtue is all about empowering girls to become confident and purpose-driven leaders. As Amber said, we've partnered before in the past, so I'm just so happy to, be here today. But I started Ladies of Virtue really because growing up on the South Shore, I have friends who, whose fathers were killed through gun violence. I had friends whose parents were in their lives, but just not in a positive way. And so one thing that I noticed that I really took for granted, to be honest with you, is that my dad used to always say, you're an African girl, you can do anything you set your mind to. And so when my parents divorced, they divorced when I was 5, and, there was drama and all of that came with that. But one thing that remained consistent in both households was the fact that they always pushed me to accomplish my dreams. They always pushed me to do anything that I was passionate about. And I noticed growing up that many of my friends just didn't have that. And so although when I was in high school, I wasn't very active. I did some things here and there for a year, and I would quit and do other things. But when I got to college, based off of what I witnessed when I was in high school, when I got to college was when I really started giving back to the community and started mentoring as a sophomore in college, and really haven't looked back since. So I have been mentoring since I was 18, 19 years old. I'm 39 now, so it's been quite a journey, but it's something that I feel like it's a passion of mine. Not even what I feel like. I know not only is it a passion, but it's a true calling that is placed on my life. And so we'll talk later about what Ladies of Virtue, more of what Ladies of Virtue is all about. But I definitely wanted to share, just in terms of how I even got here to begin with.
My turn. Okay, so oh God. It's so difficult to say because you just gave that whole that whole bio, excuse me, my allergies acting up. So as far as I will start with this chapter of my life, because you've read already, so I don't want to, rewind on that. So we'll just start with Everybody Want to Be a Stylist. That's an idea, a book that I have been sitting on for years. I didn't know that I wanted to call it that, but I knew that I always wanted to write that book because there was always a lack of information and a lack of just giving the secrets to Black stylists, here in Chicago. And so a lot of times I felt like that I was like the sacrificial lamb, for lack of a better term, to get this information, because every time I was on a job, I was either paired up. I was either the only Black girl on set or the only Black person on set, or, it would just be just a minimum of us, just in whatever project that I was, that I was sent to do or assigned to do. So it mattered to me to put this book out, just to give that information to stylists, Black stylists, stylists of color. And that's where I am now. So I am actually in the process of developing a course for my alumni. I'm sorry, my fellow alum. My fellow alma mater. Let me get it together. My fellow alma mater. I'm in the process of developing a course for them by way of my book. So I'm super excited about that. So the journey has been amazing, and I just want to make for sure that us in the fashion industry are getting the opportunity that we deserve, the opportunity that we need. So yeah. That's pretty much. Yeah, we can talk about more as the questions roll up.
I'm excited to. All of you have very interesting and amazing businesses. And Ms. Bibi, you went to the HBCU, so to hear that you're developing a course for students to learn about being in fashion, because I know a lot of students who want to go into fashion, I know sometimes they do like deter away from going to the HBCU because we don't have programs like that at all HBCU. So the fact that you're doing that and opening that door and giving the opportunity is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I just want to jump right into the questions that we have for you all. So one question I pretty much just want to start off with is, being an entrepreneur, what a lot of people don't see is the behind the scenes. They think it's glitz and glam. So could you all just give us an overview of what your day-to-day looks like?
Sure, I don't mind sharing. I feel like I constantly deal with the hardest and worst parts of the business. That is, especially the more you grow, the more you hire, and the more you're doing the things that are really just not fun, like reading contracts and, dealing with, potential lawsuits and dealing with, negative reviews online that maybe have like gotten too popular, or employees who might be disgruntled or felt like, the feedback you gave them was too harsh, or your business coaches and investors and or managers, leaders telling you that you're not doing a good enough job or that you should be doing this right, and you're managing everyone's opinions and ideas. And so it's funny because I think a lot of times we think entrepreneurship is an escape from being managed. You think that, because I'm going to run my own business, I don't have to answer to anyone. And I just think that is the biggest lie. You are answering to over 100,000 customers. You're answering to all of your customers. Mm-hmm. You are answering to all 30 plus of your employees. You are answering to all 7 of your advisors, mentors, and investors. And so you are constantly trying to, I don't want to say appease, but you're taking in feedback and responding, and how you respond has a ripple effect. And so, I don't know, I feel like it's a thing that everyone like looks at and is so glam, like, oh, you're jet setting. Oh, you have $1 million in your bank account. You got married, your kids, you're in this big house. You guys got it all like figured out and together. And that is just not how it is. It's not how it is at all. So not to deter anyone, but I just think there are a lot of costs associated with being the leader. And my favorite quote is, imagine all of the hardest and biggest problems a company has, the CEO has to solve. So that is your day-to-day every single day.
For me, I would say no 2 days are alike, which is amazing. I love that. I hate, a lot of times how a lot of people will say, as a stylist, you guys do this, that. Like, no. For me, I wear many hats as well. Not only am I, a stylist, I'm also running, my blog, my weekly blog that goes up, every week, and maintaining that, and just like young ladies that I work with, the book, and and then too, I guess I'm going to reveal it on here. But for the past 8 months, I've been the social media director for ORS Hair Care for their Curls Unleashed and hair repair and CU Color Blast. So I've been working with them very closely, and that right there alone is different every day, dealing with customers and influencers and ambassadors. But I love it because it keeps me on my toes, and it's something different every day. So my day-to-day is different every day.
And I have to say the same thing. Like, first of all, I love my job. I feel like I have created my ultimate dream job. Okay. I'll just start off by saying that. Is it challenging? Do I cry because, maybe I didn't meet a revenue goal, or somebody I've really been trying to network with, I haven't been able to, bust down those doors yet? Of course. Yes. Are there challenges? Are there things that I wish I could change? Absolutely. But I feel like I'm built for that. I'm built for, okay, if you tell me no, let me figure out 5 different ways on how I'm going to get my yes, because I'm going to get my yes. Okay. So that's how I feel about it. And so at the end of the day, there are challenges. My day is different every single day, but I love that. I actually, so when I was working in my 9 to 5, I was working more in the consulting life, but it was more of an internal consultancy as a project manager at a healthcare at Northwestern Medicine, which is in healthcare. And so my day-to-day job all the time was different. And when I was at college, I was doing 5 or 10 different extracurricular activities. And so my day was always different then. So I feel like I always created a life for me that was always different. So when it came to entrepreneurship, I'm used to it. This is who I am. I don't like the whole monotony and all of that. No. And so, and I get a chance. I'm not the type of executive director where I just sit behind the desk and don't interact with my mentees and my girls and ladies of virtue. So I'm always engaging with them as well. And I think that's what keeps me connected to how my girls are doing, which is what I love to do as well. So as an entrepreneur, you can create the life that you want. Now, of course, you still have to work to build to where you need to go financially and things of that sort to hit your different goals. But I really feel like I've created the dream job. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to continue to do that and continue to build a team so that we can make even a larger impact in the city of Chicago and beyond. So in terms of my day-to-day, I start off, I try to, read my word every day. I try to have just a good morning where I'm drinking my tea, reading, doing different things like that. So I try to keep my mornings the same as much as I possibly can. I haven't been working out in this quarantine as much, but I used to work out, y'all. And so I used to love to work out. I used to do that all the time in the mornings or during my lunch. I'm still trying to build that routine back again. But other than that, the day is completely different. And so we can go into more detail about that later.
Well, for me, my day-to-day is definitely not the same. I have too many different hats. The number one being a new mom. So I have a 1-year-old hanging from my hip and my foot every 5 seconds. So that's already one thing. I start my day way earlier than everyone in the house just to get a peace of mind for myself. So I start off at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I meditate, just trying to check through emails and just get things done before the little one wakes up. My day can change. It can be from filling orders for a Buble. It can be to pitching ideas and things for press for clientele. It really depends. Whether I'm doing an event, maybe I'm sourcing for venues. Like it really changes. And then also now Buble is inside of a coffee shop. So I kind of go in and check in there and see if there's any orders going on there or happy hour. So I'm just kind of all over the place, honestly, but I love it. I love having this freedom to be able to do what I want to do. I absolutely love what I do. But it is not for the weak. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak. So I cry. Okay, I cry and I get back up. So I might have a day where I'm just not feeling it. Maybe I didn't need to go, like you said, or, maybe something didn't happen today that I wanted to happen or whatever the case may be. And I'll let that out. And then the next day I get back up. So that's my day to day.
Okay. So a lot of you all, when describing your day-to-day, you all mentioned that being in entrepreneurship it's most definitely not for the weak. It's definitely for someone who's built to have a strong mindset and is determined and not give up. So I want to ask you all, so what has been one of the struggles that you have had to overcome with your business, and how did you overcome it?
So I can start off by saying, and this really goes for Black women in for-profit or nonprofit, but I'm going to speak to nonprofit because that's what Ladies of Virtue is, a nonprofit organization. So there was some research that came out, this was probably about a year or two ago, that talked about how even for nonprofits that are very similar, pretty much the same to one another, when it is led or founded by a Black woman, they receive less funding than the same organization, but led by a Black man, a white woman, a white man, any other, ethnicity, race, whatever, any other gender, the Black woman is at the bottom. And then so combine that with, for nonprofit organizations that just focus on women and girls, out of all the charitable funding that's out there in the world, only 1.6% goes towards organizations that solely focus on women and girls. So that's a double whammy. You know what I'm saying? I'm already coming in, I'm a Black woman and we only focus on Black girls. So I always felt like, why am I not getting this funding? We're doing more than, the average. And why? I always felt like there was this just this brick wall. I was getting hit just left and right. So that was a huge struggle for me. So when the research came out a year or two ago, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been feeling for the last 10 years. But the research kind of shed a light to what the struggle really was, what I was feeling. So how I had to overcome that, and last year was actually a huge year for us. I know with the pandemic, you would assume that nonprofits would struggle, but we actually pretty much doubled our revenue goals last year, which was amazing. But I would say the biggest, how I was able to overcome those first 5-6 years where we were not hitting revenue goals was really because I started working on building relationships with funders, relationships with I started building relationships with mentors who don't look like me. I have a white male mentor now, an older Black woman. So, thinking about that intergenerational, sometimes you have to learn from someone who's 20, 30 years your senior because they've been through what you already are trying to overcome. And I even do the small things, like a lot of people don't check their email. I make it a point 90% of the time I'm responding back within 24, 48 hours. So really just trying to make myself stand out from the crowd, because I just mentioned the double whammy that I'm facing. So I have to just go above and beyond. So I would say in order to overcome that struggle, I had to really focus on building relationships, and I really had to focus on let me do some things that I know other people are not doing so that I can build that trust factor.
Did anyone else want to answer that question?
I don't know if I have any. I think for me, it would be the just women, in general, just not getting their respect due. In the industry, a lot of times, in fashion as a stylist, you would have, the LGBTQ community, who would get a lot of the jobs more, or people would feel more comfortable, with hiring, other stylists, opposed to a Black woman, for whatever stigmas that have been placed upon us, in these industries. And as you can see now, it's definitely just heavily saturated. You know what I mean? Like, you see Black women here and there as stylists, in the fashion industry. So it's like we're running against a lot, you know what I mean? And so a lot of times we have to banter together and try to build some type of camaraderie, and that is difficulty in that too, because then you'll have people tell them like, oh, be careful, she may be out to steal your job, or something like that. Like, so it's crazy. So you just have to be mindful of, things of that nature. However, me personally, I've never had to worry about that, because my thing is, what's for me is for me, and if I pass along a job to you, I don't have to worry about you passing it along back to me, because I'll get it eventually. Something will always come, for me. So those are probably the biggest things that I faced, in this industry would be that. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for me right now that I can think of.
When I first started, I used to pitch. So, you guys know I was on Shark Tank, right? So, and
know that.
Oh, thank you. We appeared on Shark Tank, and it's like a 6-month process, and you got to get really good at pitching. And even though we had a really successful episode and we get reruns probably every quarter, leading up to that, I had pretty much never won cash at a pitch competition. And most people were shocked, because they're like, Kim, you're always pitching, you're so good at it. And I'm like, it didn't matter. I was never winning. So I was really prepared for Shark Tank. However, when I got ready to do a practice pitch with some of my advisors or whatever, and I did it with my husband, and they were like, Kim, Tim seems more confident than you do. He seems like he knows more about the business. And I was so offended, because I'm like, I'm the one running it. Like, what do you mean he seems more confident than me? What do you mean he seems like he knows more? I was like, he's just standing here next to me, but he just sounded more confident than I did when he was speaking. And so it really forced me to practice my speaking, practice pitching, practice answering questions on the spot, making quick decisions, being more sure of myself, so that other people wouldn't doubt me. And that was such a hard lesson, but when she did that, it meant that I also needed to practice like a crazy person. And it ended up being for the best. Like the show ended up being a really, really good episode. And I really seemed very confident and knowledgeable then. And it took hearing that difficult feedback in order for me to get better. So I think that was one of the things I had to overcome, was just getting better communicating publicly about what I do.
I'm not gonna lie, I think it's safe to say that I'm ready to go to the next question.
Yeah.
I do have like some things, but my mind is all over the place, so I could just go to the next question.
Okay. So I kind of want to switch gears a little bit, and some of you have mentioned talking about having a mentor and the importance of having a mentor. So I wanted to ask, do you all have a mentor, and how important is it to have a mentor when you're starting a business?
I'll go first. I know I just went, but I'll just kick it off. I was about to quit Curl Mix in 2017 because we had 2 years back to back where it was like 130 in the first year, 140,000 the second year. And it wasn't growing like a subscription box should grow. And so I was like, you know what, like this isn't working. I'm just going to go ahead and close up the business. And I met my advisor, Gilbert. He's a bald Asian guy. I met him at a backstage event, Backstage Capital. Arlen Hamilton's the founder or the managing partner. They invest in minorities, basically. It's a Black woman. She's on the cover of Fast Company and everything. But this is back before like she would ever even speak at events. So it was one of her first speaking events. But anyway, I met my advisor, Gilbert, there. And he was like, what's your best-selling box? I'm like, it's our flaxseed gel, but nobody will make it for us. Manufacturers all say, no, like it's too difficult. It's like cooking food, boiling flax seeds and extracting a gel for your product. And he was just kind of like, figure it out. And after we did that and we, sold hundreds of amount of hours, it was super successful. We're like, oh, this is it. He was like, hey, do you mind if I have some advisory shares and I'll just continue to advise you? And he advised me, that was 2017 in October. I have met with him monthly for at least an hour to 2 hours each month over the last 3 years. That's just one of the 3 coaches I have. I pay an executive business coach who I meet with every 2 weeks. And she actually gets cash, not necessarily equity. And I also have a mastermind that I'm a part of. So I probably spend, I don't know, $25,000 to $50,000 annually on coaching. And then the people who are not getting paid cash have equity in the business. And so I think it cannot be understated to have mentors because they've kind of seen around corners that you haven't gotten to yet. They're like, hey, I know what it looks like when you get there. You might want to consider these options. They don't tell you what to do, but they'll say, this is what I've seen when people choose option A versus option B, but it might be different for you. What do you think? And so I have some who are kind of like more peers, kind of making the same amount of money we make, people who have consulted other bigger businesses, and then somebody who's in a completely different industry that has an operational brain that can give me supply chain management suggestions or just like problem solving in general versus like brand education versus peer mentor group education. So I have a lot of people coaching me. I'll say that.
I'm the same way. You would think since I've mentored for over 20 years that I would have had mentors myself for the last 20 years, but that's not the case. I actually just started having mentors about 3 years ago as well. And to Kim's point, it really has changed the trajectory of our organization. So as I mentioned earlier, I have Bruce. I love my mentor, Bruce. He is a white man. Then I have Risa, who is a Black woman, maybe 20 or 30 years, 20 years my senior. And so how they have helped me. So if you think about what I just said earlier in terms of Black organizations are just not getting funded. A lot of times when nonprofit leaders are submitting those proposals or documents to get sponsored and so forth, guess who is at the table making those decisions? White men. I did not know any white men personally. So it was a blessing that I ended up having Bruce as my mentor. I met him through this program called Next Level Exchange. I wish I could see the audience so I could see like who's all out there, but just, you know, if you're interested in nonprofit, holler at me afterwards. But I ended up joining this program called Next Level Exchange. And Bruce is one of the leaders of that organization, and you got a chance to do speed networking, and I met a few people, but I was like, no, if I'm going to have a mentor here, I need to be the top dog in this place. And he ended up being matched with me, so that was a blessing. But he has truly opened up doors for me. He reviewed my proposals and my sponsorship documents. He introduced me to other leaders at banks and so forth, and not to give me money right away or anything, but just to review my documents. I just wanted them to see what I'm sending out. So let me know if I'm doing something wrong or how should I change it, tweak it, whatever. And that's exactly what they did. That whole first year, every time I had a meeting, they would tell me, hey, switch here, do this, add this, change this. And so that really is how we were able to, that was just one of the ways he has helped. Other ways has been, he has introduced me to his network after I built that trust, going back to what I said earlier. If he introduced me to someone via email and it took a week or two to respond, he probably wouldn't be introducing me to too many more people. What would I do? I would respond that day, the next day, to immediately get on their calendar. So that's just one example of how I was always on it when I was being mentored by him. And now that 2-year program is over with, that ended like a year or two ago, he continues to be my mentor. Even to this day, we meet every month. So that was a blessing. In terms of Risa, I would say for her, her background is also in fundraising, but one of the things that really has helped for our organization is that she has such a great reputation amongst the philanthropic community, just amongst the community, just with Black folks in general. If you are in the nonprofit area, in the nonprofit space, you know Risa. And so I think just having her associated with Ladies of Virtue, she was my mentor in the Impact Leadership Development Program for 9 months. Even after that, she said she wanted to continue to mentor me. That program ended back in 2017. It's 2021 now. I asked her to be on my board, in which she did. And so having someone that has such a great reputation now on my board, because at first it took me, I couldn't get people of high stature to join my board. But after Risa, it became a lot easier. Now I can get VPs, I can get CEOs of small businesses and all that. I couldn't get nobody before Risa, okay? So Risa added that cachet, that reputation, if you will. People were looking like, matter of fact, I had someone to tell me, Risa would be good for your board, but she would never join because we were so small. So he assumed that we would be too small for her to be a part of. You know, God had another plan. But yeah, so mentors are phenomenal. But you have to manage that relationship. I don't want people to think like, I just need a mentor, they're just gonna tell me what to do. No, you need to make sure you plan the agenda. You need to make sure that they introduce you to someone, you're on top of it. You need to make sure that you're keeping your reputation, that you continue to build your brand, because that makes them, look good as well, because they've been helping you and supporting you. So I'll stop there, but mentors have definitely been a true addition to our organization, which has helped us grow.
Well, I guess I can go. So, well, believe it or not, BB is actually one of my unofficial mentors. She was actually one of my first friends when I got into the industry. And I value her opinion. So when I had questions, when I needed suggestions, I would always call and be like, BB, what you think about this? You like this name? You like this idea? And so that is so funny that you actually asked that question.
Yeah.
And then I grew into my little flower, or whatever, the butterfly that I am. I actually don't have a mentor or a mentee. I still feel like I'm a student. I'm still learning as I'm going along this journey. I feel very confident in a lot of things that I've been doing, but I'm still learning along my way, and I really just don't want to give somebody the wrong information until I'm fully confident in what exactly I'm talking about, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think I ever really had a direct mentor other than my friends and my peers. And like I said, BB is one of my closest friends. And so when I have a question about something like that, I just typically ask her. Throughout the industry as well, she's introduced me to numerous of people, where the relationships I had to water those relationships and things like that. I think with mentors or mentees, whether I've had one or not, entrepreneurship is about community and about networking, regardless. And that's what you have to do. So, I mean, if you do have a mentor or a mentee, I mean, you just have to water that relationship and keep that going.
Can we go to the next question? Like, I want to go to the next question. I want some more. Like, let's get some, questions going. Like, I'm ready for the questions.
So the next question I want to ask you all is just going a little bit more personal. So, running a business for you all is an everyday full-time job. So, how do you balance work-life balance?
Ooh. There is no balance. Honestly, there is not one. I balance mom life, self-care, business, but there really isn't no balance. Sometimes you're gonna lack one day, and then you just pick up the next day where you lacked before. You do your best, honestly. Honestly, you do your best of what you can do today, and then tomorrow, like I said, wherever you like, you pick it up. Yeah, I mean, I don't even really know how to even answer that. Honestly, I just don't feel like there is no balance. When it's entrepreneurship, you're working constantly, whether you have a 9 to 5 and then the entrepreneurship or your hustle is your 5 to 9. That's what it is. You're working all the time. I mean, the only thing that I can say is give yourself a break. That's the only balance that I have, is when I dedicate a self-care day to myself, whether that's the weekend or an hour to myself while the baby is sleeping. But you just kind of, you get in where you fit in with your life, honestly. So yeah.
I would say for me, I promised myself last year, 2020, of course, before the pandemic happened, I told myself I would travel more, and I stuck to that. Even through the pandemic, I would just take advantage. Southwest was giving out hot tickets left and right. I'm like, listen, what I would do is I would just go visit friends that I hadn't, had a chance to see, or they didn't come to homecoming or something of the sort, and I would just go, and literally it'll be like an away sleepover, for us. So, that was my promise to myself, my oath to myself, that I would travel more and spend more time with my friends and my family. And self-care, I always do that. I make for sure I get that in all the time. Just like Sierra was saying, like in the morning meditation, like this year, the beginning of this year, I just started every day for 12 minutes in the morning. After I meditate, I'll do 12 minutes of just writing in my journal. No topic, no particular guideline, just whatever comes to my mind. For 12 minutes, I would just go and just write, and then once that is done, then I burn the paper and just allow, things to just manifest for itself. I'm really like on a journey where I just allow things to unfold organically, because, being in the business, starting my business and having it for 7 years now, I've just learned to try to do things in a different way, as I grow with the business, and not too much just to have so much structure. Because in the beginning, I had so much structure. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely achieved a lot of things with that structure. But what I noticed is that when I pull back and just relax, more things came to me organically, things that I didn't plan, And it allowed me to slow down more, you know, and really focused on my personal and my self-care, because I wasn't so scheduled and it wasn't militant, because I know how I can get, like, if I'm on a schedule, it's militant, like straightforward, like I'm just tunnel vision. And once I learned to pull back from that and just allow things to unfold, you know, for me organically, it's like, man, like manifesting is like at an all-time high. Like all I have to do is just mention something and it'll happen for me. So yeah.
And for me, work-life balance, that's interesting. So, yeah, I don't think I have. My husband would probably say, you know, I mean, he would probably say, you know, I'm a lot better now. Definitely the first 8-9 years in business, I was just all work. I would barely go to the bathroom. I would be sitting here. I had to just, you know, I really got to go, then I'm rushing, but I just was just working, just making sure that Ladies of Virtue was going to get to where I wanted to go. So now how I consider work-life balance. And one thing I did notice, even though my marriage was great, Ladies of Virtue was great, my friendships completely fell off. Like I would look up like, do I have friends? Like what's going on? So that to me, having balance for me now is those 3 things. Well, 4 things: my relationship with God, making sure me and my husband straight, making sure the business straight, but I got to have my friend time. And so like January 2020, before the pandemic, I spent 3 out of the 4 weeks in January just traveling to different cities, seeing my girls. And so now I'm definitely more intentional about spending time with my friends. But other than that, still, another thing that I really wanted to do too, because a lot of people reach out to me to say like, how do you start a nonprofit? You know, I really would like to work with you to get my nonprofit to the next level. And I just really never had time to, I'm like, that's a whole nother business. You know what I mean? So this year, and maybe like mid 2021, I will try to do another endeavor in terms of teaching women how to take their nonprofit to the next level. Those that are small, like up to 500,000 in revenue. But you know, so that's to me balance now is just making sure my friends, you know, small group of friends. I'm not worried about everybody else because I don't have time for that. So maybe my 3 or 4 friends. My husband, my business, my other business that's coming up. That's how I see that piece. And then God, of course. The other thing that really has helped me over like the last few months is that what I used to do is that if I had an opening in my schedule and if people asked for a meeting for whatever it was, I would always fill it. And so then what would normally happen, I'm looking up and I'm in 6 hours of meetings. Now for that, to me, that's exhausting. So what I have started to do was only on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I take meetings. And then Mondays and Fridays, unless it's something super important, Mondays and Fridays, I don't take meetings if I can. So that has helped me too with balance.
I agree with you, Jamila, about there being no balance in the beginning. When it first started, especially before, like, I want to say up until we made more than $1 million, right? So the year we made 130, 140, 1 million, those years, there was no like self-care and anything. No, my baby was at work with me. He would be in the playpen watching Sesame Street, and mommy would be working. And my husband, he was working at the time too, but he eventually came to work for the business. And for that first year, the year that we really pushed it and got to 7 figures, you know, you don't really understand hiring yet, right? Like you hadn't really, you're figuring it out. You're like, oh, should I hire somebody? Should I not? I don't know. We just finally got some profit. Should I put that money back and hire somebody? And so you're doing a lot of everything. You're doing making the products, you're doing the shipping, you're doing the social media, doing the influencer management, you're doing the event booking, like all of it, you're doing it. And so you don't, like, I think I would work till like 1 or 2 in the morning all the time, like with my kid, you know, and I'm breastfeeding at the same time. My husband's helping me, you know, make products and stuff like that. And I want to say maybe like our first like big Black Friday, like our first 6-figure month or something like that. That's when I was like, enough. We have to hire somebody. And we started hiring people, and we got up to about maybe 10 people around that time. But we were all contractors. And then after that, we had more help, and my job kind of became teaching the rest of my team how to run the business and how to like kill it in their departments. And so doing that, like that still was stressful, but I wasn't working till 1 or 2 in the morning anymore. So I started kind of getting off at 7, you know, or 8 o'clock. And then I want to say this year or 2020 is when I kind of was getting off at 5 or 6. Like, okay, now I can get off at 5 or 6. My husband Actually, my husband's kind of working on the operational side. He's not anymore, but he was. And my sister would come and I put her on payroll and she would watch my kids during the day. And so that is how I had balance. I was like, you need 4 people to raise 1 kid, like 4 people. You need a mom, you need 2 parents, you need a babysitter, and you need a backup. Like those 4 people will allow you to be able to run your business the way it needs to be run. Otherwise, there is no balance, So, and we also take a trip every quarter, or we try to. The pandemic has, of course, messed that up. But, I mean, there was no balance until now. So, I don't know. I feel like if people want to become entrepreneurs, those first 5 years is like, you just got to make it. You're trying to make it to that 5-year mark. And then after that, you'd be like, okay, some balance. And I hate to say that because I have a lot of like, I'm young, but young women, like, how do you like manage? Like, what are you doing? Balance? How do you self-care? Everybody wants to know about self-care. And I'm just like, if you're trying to do something nobody else has done before, like, I can't imagine that you're going to have all the self-care that social media is talking about. Okay. That's the truth, And when you're talking about women who are getting 2% of funding and Black women, there being less than 100 of them who raised $1 million and all other stuff, it's like, it's just not going to be the same. And I'm the person to say that, and nobody wants to hear that, Nobody wants to hear that. They want to know that like you're taking long baths every night and all the other stuff. And it's like, I worked till 2 a lot of nights.
But that's real because Miss Social Media had you thinking everybody making $1 million, and it's like no.
And then how you thinking just because you're making $1 million that you got money? Many people are making $1 million and are still broke, like And I think sometimes we think, oh, if I just get more money, I'll have fewer bills. And no, your bills grow with the more money that you make. So, agreed. All of it. A lot of it is like real. I hate social media in so many ways. It's so misleading. So misleading.
So one question before we allow the audience to ask questions, as a young entrepreneur, and also there are young entrepreneurs who are watching this, and we have entrepreneurs who are in our organization, I want to ask, what advice would you give to a young lady who's in high school or college who currently has her own business or is looking to start a business?
I wish I had, I would spend more time reading. I feel like you could pay for courses, but if you're in high school and college, you can also research and Google and read books like classic marketing books, right? I have this book called The 100 Best Business Books. And I'll show you guys. And if you read this book, it has a short synopsis of like the 100 best books. And this guy who wrote the book read like 10,000, right? So if you read this book, it's literally like 1 or 2 pages per book. I'm going through it and I picked out my favorite ones. They're all like highlighted and like folded or whatever. And they tell you the different categories. They say like, this is sales and marketing. Here, I'm gonna show you real quick. This section is a sales and marketing section on the best books to read. This is on rules and scorekeeping, management, biographies. Read this stuff. Because you're not going to learn it in college. College, you go there for networking. You go there so you can meet people your age. I'm not even going to lie. You might go there to find a husband. Like, whatever. Like, you're going to go there to meet people and then find your best friends for life and all the other stuff. But you're not going to get the entrepreneurship education that you're hoping to get unless you teach yourself. So read this book. Learn some marketing. Learn how to sell. Don't be afraid of selling. And that's how you dive into entrepreneurship.
As a college student in a pandemic, I would just like to agree with you. Thank you for pointing that out for those who didn't believe me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would say, so you just made me think of something when you brought up college. So I'll just say 2 things. One, the relationships that you develop in college is real. And it's unfortunate that you got to develop relationships in front of a computer during the pandemic right now. But hopefully y'all can get back on campus. Because there were people who I went to school with that I may not, and this is high school and college actually, who I may not have talked to in 5 years or 7 years, but we stay in contact on social media, whether it be LinkedIn or Facebook. And when I posted last year how we were raising money for that Mercedes-Benz van, there were people who I haven't seen in 5-10 years who I went to high school and college with, $2,500, $1,500, $5,000, and I was shocked. And so those relationships that you're developing now, they will pay off 5, 10, 20 years from now. So just continue to stay in contact with one another, because you just never know who your friend is going to become, and vice versa. So that, and then the second piece I'll just say is, how you start is how you are going to finish. And what I mean by that is, there's going to be people around you that's going to be like, oh, you don't need to file your LLC, or you don't need to file this paperwork, or you don't need to you can do it this way. And do not take shortcuts trying to run your business. The reason how, the government came out with so much funding with the grants and the PPP and all of that, and the reason why we were able to access all of that free money from the government is because all of our paperwork was legit. And there were so many people in my friends, my network and all of that who have businesses that weren't able to access. And if you decide not to do it, then that's fine, but let's be able to have a choice. There were so many people that were not even able to access or even had an option because they did not file the appropriate paperwork. They didn't have their people on, the payroll and all of that. They were doing some things under the table and all of that stuff. So when it came time for that free money, I got that money, okay? And I was happy to get that forgivable grants, okay? But that's just one example. We have been so blessed over the last 10 years for being able to be in position because I started off with my articles of incorporation. I started off with, getting my 501c3. There was I started off with a business plan. There were some things that my mindset was all about. Do I need to have a business plan? You don't have to have one when you start, but I wanted to do that because I wanted to have the mindset of I want to do everything right. If you have that mindset from the beginning, you're going to continue to have that mindset 5 years later, 10 years later, and beyond. So if you don't hear nothing else from me, please take how you start and how you finish. So be legit from the beginning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I can go. So from what I'm hearing from everyone is relationships. So I think that everyone should take that building relationships. I kind of wrote a couple of things out too. And actually building relationships are pivotal to your success. You can't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone or have a fear of failing. And to a young woman, creative, looking to stay successful in the business, I would just say to start the business. I think that that's number one, is to start the business. Research your craft, ask questions, and you're not going to have all the context and the resources at the beginning. And then you can perfect the business later. But the first step is to start. It's okay to take days off. You can't run an empire with being tired, sick, or burnt out. Although I say there's no balance, I mean, when you get a chance, just take a minute to yourself. Also, if you're still working a 9 to 5, I know that this is a big thing. I hear this all the time. Don't quit your job just yet. Okay, like use the job to fund the job. 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9, baby. Listen, just stick with the job because I get it. I feel like that's a question that I often hear. I haven't worked a job in about 3.5 years, which is great, but it's a hustle to stick with that while you're an entrepreneur. So if you can keep on your dream. And then last but not least, know that you can't please everyone. Stay consistent and patient and watch your flower grow.
Yeah. All of y'all said some bomb things. Like everybody did. I would have to say, I love the fact that Sierra mentioned consistency. That is key. A lot of times we get just disheveled and, discouraged because somebody is not liking our social media post or somebody is not reposting, and a lot of times we get discouraged. And it's important to know that that's your business. That's not theirs. That's the business you decided to start, and as a friend, if they decide to post it, they post it. You know what I mean? That should not determine, your friendship. These are things that I myself had to learn, early on in the business. Like just because somebody is not reposting or resharing, like we love all of those posts on social media that says, to be a friend, you should share, you should post, you should, this and that. It costs you zero. And that's true. But, the other side of that is they didn't have to, you know what I mean? Like nobody has to do anything, like, and that's why I think and to build confidence, like before all of this, before all of the networking and the being consistent, if you're not confident within yourself that you can start this business, that you can, you know, be an amazing entrepreneur, you know, if you don't have that confidence in yourself and that 100% belief, then it's almost like you know, you failing already in the beginning. Like, you know, just like you said, you know, how you start is how you finish. You know, you have to have that strong level of confidence within you and your business as well, you know, to move even when nobody is seeing you move. You know what I mean? To just get those things going. So that self-confidence is huge. As a matter of fact, that self-confidence is the reason why I worked with so many brands, you know, because I had that level of, you know, confidence. Like, I may not be the best stylist, you know, overall, but I know that I'm great at what I do. You know what I mean? And I'm never comparing myself to another stylist. You know, I'm great at what I do because I know my lane, you know. And so that would be my gift to, you know, up and coming entrepreneurs.
Thank you all for your answers. And I really appreciate you all coming out tonight to just give your advice and tell us about your journey to success as an entrepreneur. We have ran a little bit over time. I know we had open questions up for the audience, but we ran over. So I did want to ask, if you all wanted to, what would be the best way, if someone did have a question, what would be the best way for them to contact you and ask you if you felt comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah, sure. They can email me, DM me. I'm cool with all of that. Like, whatever questions you may have. Yeah.
Same. My Instagram name is my name.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine is too. All of my social media handles, my name on the screen. So contact me whenever. I love, you know, especially up and coming entrepreneurs. I love helping out. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say for me, are you going to give out email addresses, Amber?
Yes, I can send it to all the attendees. So whichever contact information you tell me that you would prefer for someone to reach out to you, that's the information I'll make sure to send out.
Okay, got it. So yes, you can give them my email and then follow our Ladies of Virtue, or it's LOV Chicago on Instagram. I rarely am on my own personal Instagram page, so DM the LOV Chicago page. I'm on that more frequently.
Hey, I wish we had time for just one person.
Actually, we can if you all want.
Yeah, like one. Can we get like one person? Because we always seeing each other. Like, who out there? Like, y'all at? Where y'all at?
I didn't want to take up so much of you all's time.
Girl, where they at? Look, where they at?
Right. So they said that if you do have a question, the panelists, they would like to take some questions. So if someone does have a question for one of the panelists, it's a comment section. So feel free to just comment your question and then I'll pop it up on the screen and they can answer it.
Is this on Facebook Live or anything?
It's on YouTube, so it's streaming.
Oh, it's
that
on YouTube.
Oh,
okay. I'm gonna go check it out.
So I can download it and send it to you if you like, or send you the link, whichever one you prefer.
Oh, a link is perfect. Thank you.
So,
Amber, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Oh crap! Oh, soup! I was about to go. Look, I have a friend. I promised y'all. Look, we maintain friendships, right? I told my friend I was coming over at 7:30. But it's okay. I see the question says, Kim, how did you get on Forbes 30 under 30? So that's been it had been a dream of mine for a very, 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 very long time. And I learned. So I found somebody who was on Forbes, and I asked them how they got on Forbes. And it's not like a formula. Like, you really have to be doing something like noteworthy, quote, right? So I would, if you really want to be on it, I would look at what categories are there. They have a retail category, they have a tech category, a venture category, and then I would look and see who's on there and what they've done, and then use those as your benchmarks of what you have to do to get on the list. If you're a Black woman, that's like even better because there's so few of us. So if you're able to like do the things that are on the list, you're almost like a shoe-in, right? But they also, think about any media you want to get, they need clicks. They are always trying to get clicks. So is your story good enough to get them some clicks? Mm-hmm. So I would work on the story that you tell to, media, to, TV shows. I mean, that's how you get on Shark Tank, right? You have to have a good story. Like, yeah, you got to have a business making some money, but a good story. Yeah. And when you have a good story, you'll be able to build brands. You'll be able to get press. You'll be able to inspire people and bring them on your team. So figure out whatever your story is. Promote that, run a successful, business or whatever that category is, because they have education as a category as well. and then pitch it to media. Pitch it to media.
Nice. Hey, look, you helped us too.
Okay. So you definitely help.
Me, I'm
Like,
like,
Miss, I've been everywhere on all the media. You already know how to get pressed. Like,
I mean,
you already
listen,
know how
like,
to
you
do.
can always get more.
You're right.
Awesome. Okay, I want to go. You guys are my friends. Will be like, you late. I'm like, I know, but thank you guys so much for having me. I've had a
Great
blast.
meeting you. Happy New Year.
Nice
Happy
meeting
New Year, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
BB, there's a question for you. BB, how did you start
Okay.
building your clientele?
Oh, that's a great question. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for asking the question. How did I start? I'm just such an outgoing person. I'm one of those people that wherever I go, especially an event, I don't sit around. I don't stand around. I'm trying to figure out who in the room. Okay, so you can't be scared. You cannot be scared at all. And a lot of my my clients have come from friends of mine who have recommended me. So a lot of times it would be, word of mouth, how I get a lot of my business. So yeah, I would say, do a good job, and I assure you, it follows you. It really does. And if you have more questions, girl, DM me. Email me. I got you.
And this is from my vice president, Laurencia. Actually, she didn't have a question. She just wanted to say thank you all.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
And
Yes.
shout out to Amber with the vice president. So all that.
Yes.
You are killing it. As a college student?
No, seriously. You been doing it in high school, girl. I'm loving it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Congratulations, boo.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. I'm just so impressed by what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
So we don't have any more questions, but
Okay.
you all did say it's okay to give out the contact information that you provided. So I'll make sure to
Yes.
send that out to the girls if they have it, if they have questions. And then I'll also make sure to include the industry that you're in, just so whoever is interested in whichever one, they can just click and reach out to you all at their own leisure.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Amber.
Thank you, Amber.
It was good seeing y'all.
Meeting you all.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
I thank you all so much for
You're
joining.
welcome.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.